Immigrant farm workers are not showing up on farms in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, Florida, and California. In Texas, in particular, in the Rio Grande Valley, they produce many crops needed around the country, such as grapefruit, corn, citrus, oranges, all the vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, cabbage, onions are all grown here. And guess what? The undocumented workers are not showing up there. They're not showing up here in Florida, and they're not showing up in California.
So now that I have fallen down this rabbit hole, I just jumped onto Twitters. And I got an alt Twitter where I pretend to be a MAGA guy. And I saw a live. And I am not kidding you. This dude, or all these dudes, these farmer dudes in there, these farm owner dudes, were saying, well, we thought the blacks would come back and do the jobs because they don't have jobs. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but black people have jobs, and you thought you were getting your slaves back is basically what you were saying. That's what you thought. It's still going right now, and I'm not going to post a link to it because I don't want to give these people a voice. But they think they're in a safe space on Twitter. They're not.
That man said he went up on the Twitters and he saw the farmermen, the white farmers, saying that, oh, well, we thought the black folk were going to come back and do the job. He said that they said the blacks. But he said they were convinced that when they started deporting these non-black people of color, right, that we were going to be taking their places back in the fields. Essentially, they thought they were getting their slaves back, right? They thought slavery was going to come back full force. We were going to be like, oh, okay, let's get on back to them fields. Because they don't think black people have jobs. But it makes sense because remember when Trump said they're taking your black jobs? Y'all remember that? Yeah, what do y'all think he meant by that? He meant the people that are in the fields now, right? Which are the Hispanic community, the Latinos. He meant that they were taking our black jobs. See, because he thinks that black people's job is to be up in the field. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what he thinks. So it all makes sense now. They really thought, these farm owners really thought that black folk, they were going to deport the Hispanics, the Latino community, and that black people were going to go back to the field working for nothing. And they tell us to stop living in the past. Bro.
Oh no, this is so sad. There are a bunch of white Texas farmers who are losing their farms right now because guess what? 100% of their workforce vanished. Wow. So all those people, who got eyes called on them, they were working on the farms. So now that they're gone, they cannot sustain the farms. You know what's crazy about this video? Because I talked about this like 2 months ago when Trump brought over all these South Afrikaners, farm people, where we find out that they were not really even farmers. And I was talking about this and found out that a few of our dear white farmers here had started losing their farms because of promises that were made to them and was not kept by this administration. So now it's trickling down to some other farmers because now their workforce, they're gone. And I was seeing somewhere where somebody came over, and it was a Caucasian man. He came over from Twitter and he was like, y'all, a lot of these farmers, white farmers, they thought that black people were going to come and work for their farms. There's a lot going on in this country right now. Us heading into possibly World War II. But this is a conversation just to kind of talk about right now. That people are kind of seeing I guess what's the word? I can't even find the word, but the decisions that they made, they are coming back to hunt them. Let's just say that. So sorry to hear this, but yeah. So I do hope that some of these Native Americans that did lose their lands, that they do get back some of these farms that are being lost.
So y'all remember when it was said that we taking all the black jobs? They really thought that we was going to be looking for black jobs, y'all. And I woke up this morning, I was scrolling through TikTok, and I saw this guy made a video, and I saved it to my favorite, so you can go look for it. And he said he was pretending to be MAGA on one of those other apps. He said they were doing a live, and the farmers were saying that they thought that the black people would be looking for jobs to work on their farms. Now, you got to be kidding me. Do they think we really looking for farm work? Do they not know that we are educated and we got degrees? And being a farm worker ain't even in the jobs categories that we be looking for. They really don't know how educated some of us are. They don't know how many degrees a lot of us have. They got to be really lost if they think that we want to come and work on their farms. They don't know that our parents and our grandparents growing up wouldn't even let us be outside if it wasn't no shade outside. Do they really think that we gonna work on a farm where ain't no shade trees at? I hate to disappoint y'all, baby, but you gonna have to get somebody else to do it, because we ain't working on nobody's farm. Never. The only way you gonna see black people working on a farm is if they own the farm, because we not working on nobody's farm as no workers. So I hate to disappoint y'all. If y'all thought those was black jobs that black people looking for, honey, you better think again, because black folks that I know got good jobs. We've had a black president, we had a black vice president, we got black senators, we got black congressmen, we got black CEOs, we got black doctors, we got black nurses, we got black psychiatrists, we got a lot of good black jobs. Now, I don't know what y'all thought we was gonna be farm workers for. We don't even want to work in the fast food industry. Those jobs, we don't want those kind of jobs. So, I hate to disappoint you MAGA people, but we don't do farm work. So get somebody else to do it. I'll like, share, comment, and repost. Drop in the comments y'all education and y'all good black jobs, because they don't think we got good black jobs out here. So we need to let them see it.
I was just reading. Green Valley, another meat supplier, U.S. meat supplier. Well, they had to shut down because of all the arrests ICE is doing. Oklahoma, Nebraska. They had to shut down. Meat suppliers upset. Farmers upset. And the farmers are all talking. They're all saying basically the same shit. Well, they thought black people wasn't working. And when Trump said that, the immigrants was taking the jobs from black folks, the farmers thought that the black people would come and work for them even cheaper. So what I'm trying to say, the farmers thought that they were going to have black slaves coming back. So that's why they didn't mind voting for Trump. Mass deportation of the immigrants. Then the black people would come back, come to work, because they're looking for jobs. That's what they thought. They thought they would come to work on their farm, basically for free. Black slaves. But then they realized and they saw, well, fuck, black people are working. Well, they ain't coming here to work on my farms. No, we're not. See, because you were lied to. Because Trump told you that black people was lazy and they was receiving welfare is what they call it. They were receiving welfare. And y'all thought by cutting the welfare that the black people would have no other choice but to go work on them fucking farms for free. That's what y'all thought. Y'all was going to make black people work for that welfare check. And y'all was going to put them on the farms. But see, we black people kept telling y'all ass, it ain't us. It's the white folks that's benefiting from the welfare. They're getting the welfare. It's more of them getting welfare than it is black people. See, y'all white folks, and I know not all white folks, but the majority of the white folks, y'all thought that it was mostly black people because that's what you hear on the news. But it's not. It's mostly white folks that's getting welfare. Not black people out there working. So now the farmers realizing, wait a minute. Where the fuck is all the black people that you promised me? Where are my slaves? Ain't no slaves here, baby. Ain't gonna be no slaves here. We ain't doing that shit. We ain't doing that shit. And I'm telling you, farmers right fucking now, the handful of black folks that's on welfare, I'm telling you right now, they'll get that fucking welfare check up because they ain't coming to work on your fucking farms. They ain't even gonna go out there and work in that hot ass sun. Acres and acres of land. You ain't gonna have no slaves with black folk. Those days are long gone.
All right, what's up, folks? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for always come back to watch our video. I really appreciate your support. Right now, we're going to talk about farmers, of course, farmers in Texas. Right now, as we speak, we've seen news that farmers in Texas are not getting workers. So the immigrants have never showed up in the farms to work. Because of what? ICE. Because of what? Mass deportation. So it means Texas farmers are not it means Texas farmers are not getting workers to work in their farms. That is what's happening. This is the result. This is the F around and find out. What we know is that Texas are indeed facing a significant labor crisis, primarily due to a shortage of farm workers, many of whom are undocumented immigrants. We know exactly that there are many undocumented immigrants in Texas, and this situation has led to considerable outrage among farmers now who are struggling to harvest their crops. Man, it was harvesting time and maintain profitability. Texas farmers were depending on these immigrants, on these undocumented immigrants. Now they are not here. So what is going to happen? They're going to lose their farms. They will not be able to take care of their farms. And some will totally go bankrupt because they don't have their farms anymore. They don't have, they cannot even do the work that immigrants were doing. So they were depending on immigrants, like the farm worker shortage and its impact. There is a reliance on immigrant labor. The agriculture sector in Texas, like much of the US, has historically relied heavily on immigrants and immigrant labor, with a significant percentage of crop laborers being undocumented. These workers often perform the physically demanding task of hand picking and delicate handling of crops that cannot be easily mechanized. That work that the machine cannot do, those were the jobs of undocumented immigrants. Now, these farmers, they're not getting the undocumented immigrants to work in the farms because of what? You know exactly the reason why. They're not getting these farm workers because they voted to deport them. They voted to deport them. Increased immigration enforcement efforts, particularly those initiated by DT administration, have created an environment of fear among undocumented workers. This has led to many workers not showing up for work or even disappearing overnight. To avoid being caught in enforcement sweepers, this fear extends to legal workers and their families, as entire community become hesitant to engage in visible agriculture works, which means whether the undocumented or the legal ones, they are not showing up, because even those who are legally, they have fear. They have fear to show up at the farm because they might get deported. You've seen some people who were deported who were legal. So it means even those, they have fear. Now, what's going to happen is the crops left unharvested or crops wasted, because it is going to be wasted. If there are no workers to harvest those crops, is going to be wasted. So the most immediate and devastating impact is that the crops are being left unharvested in the fields. This leads to massive financial losses for the farmers, reduced agricultural output, and potentially higher food prices for consumers. Some reports indicate that farmers have been forced to shut down entirely due to lack of availability of workers or labor. So they're gonna shut it down totally because there is no workers. There is no undocumented immigrant to work in those farms. Beyond the direct loss of unharvested crops, the labor shortage exacerbate other economic pressure on farmers, including rising of input costs and fuel, fertilizer, seeds, supply chain disruption, and volatile market prices. This inability to secure reliable labor further squeeze already thin profit margin, threatening the livelihoods of family farmers. So it means even life getting so expensive, things getting so expensive, price are getting hikes. These farmers are not getting enough profit. Okay, so it means they might fall into losses because of things that are getting expensive. So which make them also to lose their farms. They go bankrupt totally because it's a mixture of a lot of things. But the major thing is losing the farm workers. Now we come to a point, and you've seen the video where these farmers were discussing, okay, that they thought when they deport the immigrants, black will come and work in the farms. Now that was the thought. Okay, so the jobs they were stealing, it was supposed to be for black. Are you getting it? So it means they were expecting the black people to go to work in those farms. But right now, the black people are not working in those farms. They're not even interested to work in those farms, which is so strange right now because no one is showing up there in those farms. So these farmers, what they were expecting is not happening. They thought when we deport these immigrants, blacks are going to work in our farms. Really? Black people are going to line up and work in our farms. That's what they were thinking. And right now, they're not seeing those people. Now, they are going bankrupt because there is no workers. There is no people who are going to work in those farms. So you think black people were going to work for free in those farms? Man, this is so strange. It's so crazy. Very hard to understand because these farmers, man, I don't know. There is this thought come to my mind. When they were about to vote, DT told them that I'm going to deport millions of people. So whom they were thinking that is going to be deported? So they thought those immigrants, yes, the illegal ones, they are going to be deported. Of course. They were the candidates of getting deported. And right now, they're getting deported as we speak. But they never thought the after effect of those actions. They never thought what's going to happen next after deporting these illegal immigrants. They never thought what is going to be the result of your choices. Because what you choose, man, it's going to give you good or bad effects. So you thought you're going to put black people in there, in those farms? Man, so crazy. It is so crazy and very hard to understanding because black people are not ready to work in those farms. They are not ready. And you're the one who voted to deport the immigrants. Man, the immigrants were the hard workers. They were working hard. So it is time to work in your farms and take care of your farms. Instead, you're going to go bankrupt or you're going to lose your farms. You either work in your farms or you lose your farm. Because if crops are rotting in the farms, it means the next season you're not going to farm. So it's going to be hard for those farmers. It's going to be so difficult for them just to maintain the farm works and even to balance even their works, because right now they're not balancing the profit. The profit margin are low, which is also another effect that make them to go bankrupt. So it is happening to many farmers. We've seen in Nebraska. Now, right now, it's Texas and other areas. So you farmers, you've messed around. You've brought problems to your doors. You've caused a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Because you're not going to get workers, you're going to go bankrupt. So right now, it's going to be very hard to these farmers because they are facing really the harsh reality. They are facing, they are going to lose everything they have because of their choices, because of what they did. All right, guys, tell me in the comment section, what do you think about these farmers? What do you think about Texas farmers? Man, they're about to go bankrupt because, if you lose your farm, you go bankrupt. Of course, you lose your business. Okay? And right now, there's no workers in the farms. So it's going to be very hard for them. Tell me what do you think in the comments below. Let's keep our conversation there. I am Fikazo.